But the second I accepted that the money I lost is never going to come back, at least from gambling, everything went smoother. Hey guys, it's Joe. Real quick before we get into it, I'd love to see if you can drop a comment just letting me know where you're from. It's pretty cool seeing how far these videos have actually reached, so I enjoy looking at that. For the longest time when it came to sports betting, I told myself it was just about the money. I convinced myself that this would be some side income. I could use it to pay off a few bills, but that's sort of the trap if you think about it. It starts out logical and it's just math and numbers on a screen, and then all of a sudden it becomes an obsession. Because here's the thing, if it was just about money, then I would have stopped, and I never did. But again, it didn't start off that way. It started off as just wanting to have some fun and hopefully make a little bit of beer money on the weekends, where if I win $100, then my beers were essentially free. And the thing is, I started to do okay at it, especially when I was responsible with my gambling and I didn't have to chase losses or I could walk away or what have you. And then it turned into this obsession of me versus the sports book. Like, I'm going to bankrupt this bookie this weekend, or I'm going to bankrupt the sports book, which is absurd. It was just more of like saying that tongue in cheek, I guess. And then it became, this isn't just about bankrupting the sports book. It is, I'm going to become a professional sports bettor. And that is the delusion that I told myself every single day. Like, I would physically get excited knowing that it was a college football Saturday and I was going to be parked on the couch watching that, YouTube TV split screen, have a game on my laptop, have a game on my phone, and have action on, 8 different games. Well, what professional gambler has action on 8 different games at the exact same time? They don't. But I still believe that I was sharper than the books in that way. And then eventually it became this obsession of not me versus the sports book, it was me versus me. So how can I make whatever deposit I'm about to make last as long as I possibly can, so that I can prove to myself that I actually have the ability to control this. And once I have the ability to control it, then I can go back to becoming a professional gambler. That was where the moment that gambling went from, frankly, not even being all that fun anymore. I didn't celebrate any wins. It was just on to the next one. I'd win $500 and I'd already be thinking about the next bet because I'd planned out my entire slate of games for that day. Actually, let's be real, like, I was thinking about the next bet before that one even ended. And if I had a slate of 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock and 7 or what have you, instead of waiting until that next slate where I had the game picked out, I'd probably live bet something in between and lose it and then fall into this cycle. At a certain point, I didn't even really register wins. It was just fuel for my next round of betting where I could, again, bet from sun up to sundown. That's when I started to realize the wins, again, didn't even really feel good. It was more like I just had a sense of relief because I had some action out there. And don't get me wrong, yeah, I cared about winning bets. I mean, I hoped I would win, but that wasn't really the end game once I was that deep in it. It really was that me versus me outcome and proving to myself that I could control it. And I never was able to because I found out that, I just was looking for dopamine, which 3 years ago, I never even heard of that word. And here's the big thing about dopamine, and I didn't realize or learn this until after I was done betting. But when it comes to dopamine release, your brain actually doesn't register wins or losses. It releases the same dopamine no matter what. So in a weird, psychotic way, even when I lost, I was still rewarding myself chemically. And that's where people get it so wrong. You'll hear people talk about gamblers are addicted to losing. They're not addicted to gambling. And that is one of the dumbest, most misinformed statements you'll ever hear. Again, science-wise, our brain releases the same dopamine whether you win or lose because the dopamine gets released during the bet. It's the anticipation of it. So why would we be addicted to losing? No, that's inaccurate and wrong, and it waters down and tries to put a generalized statement on the entire thing. Again, that's really the scary part when it comes to gambling. Even when you lose, you're still rewarding yourself. And by the way, it wasn't so much that I didn't care if I won or lost, I just wanted the action. So when it came to gambling, it was kind of like this twofold thing where, yeah, I wanted to get out of debt or pay bills or become a professional gambler and use gambling to do that, even though that's the very reason I found myself in that position. And then twofold, whenever I had a deposit, I wanted to stretch it out as long as I could, because if I stretched out $1,000 deposit for 2 months, that would tell me, okay, I have it controlled now, when in reality, I'm still gambling all of that time. It just means that I had probably a nice run, or I was, splitting my picks and just losing the juice. Looking back, I wasn't chasing profit. I was chasing control, and I wanted to feel like I had control over something. Like I could predict the future when everything else in my life was so unpredictable. It wasn't about getting ahead. It was kind of about not feeling behind anymore, I guess. And, if you think about it, it's impossible to chase profit when you were pretty much down in the hole from the get-go, and you're just digging that hole deeper and deeper. And when you're down as much as I was, you'll read comments like, oh, you're one win away or one parlay away. Like, buddy, I am like 500 wins straight away. So no, it's not just about one big bet for me that was going to fix everything. It was more like I was chasing this unreal streak that, would never happen. The odds of it would probably be like winning the Powerball. And the thing is, I've had massive streaks like that where, I climb out of a hole a little bit, like I can make a dent in some of that debt, but then at the end of that streak, it's not going to last forever. And in the back of your head, you're thinking, well, I'm still down overall, so I can't just walk away right now. I need to keep going. And as you probably know, it all goes back to zero anyways. So you're never going to get out of that hole by gambling more. And when I finally quit, I thought that, I might just miss the money side of things. But what I really missed was ultimately having that illusion of control, that, I guess, for me, a fake sense of being someone who could outsmart the system. Like, that's what took the longest to let go of, because still a part of me thought that I could figure it out and have that run and get back to even. But the second I accepted that the money I lost is never going to come back, at least from gambling, everything went smoother. Because ultimately what was happening inside my head, the truth is, I never really wanted the money. I just wanted some peace. And I chose the most chaotic way to go about it and made everything 10 times worse. The other reason that I thought it would be really hard to quit is because sports were my life, and gambling completely wrecked that relationship. But I had to think about how I'd be able to get to a stage where I could watch sports again, because family holidays are surrounded by it, hanging out with your friends are surrounded by it, especially during football season. And I used to have like the idea that if I was watching sports, I was going to have action on it. So now I have to have this completely new mindset shift where I can sit with my buddies for a few hours and watch the game and not have any action. And that's kind of a scary thought. And I do sort of miss not being able to place a bet when I'm hanging out with my friends. I mean, there's FOMO, there's wanting the action and all of that, but to use a 12-step saying, I played the tape through and I know what happens if I were to do that. And here's a really good example, actually. This was during March Madness last year, and I was with my buddy. We were watching one of the games, and I had asked him who he bet on. And at that point, I had no interest in gambling still. And this was early on in recovery, like less than a year out from my last bet. And we're watching the game, wasn't really paying much attention to it. The bet was, I forget which game it was, I think a UConn game, but it was kind of a blowout. And then all of a sudden, towards the end of the game, it started to get closer where the spread was a little bit in jeopardy. And it's weird because I started to feel the same sense of excitement as if I had actually bet on it. You know, you start to get a little nervous, a little anxiety, and I didn't even have any action. I just wanted my buddy to win. So it really just hit me that I cannot go back to gambling because I didn't even have action on it. Again, that was almost a year out from my last bet. And if I'm getting that same type of feeling when I don't have any action on it, and I'm not even emotionally tied to the game, like it wasn't my childhood team growing up or anything like that, then yeah, it's a pretty good sign that I probably shouldn't do it again. And the other thing that I really thought I would miss about it is being able to sit down the entire day and watch an entire slate of college football or college basketball. I used to love doing that. But ultimately, I loved doing it because I was gambling. Prior to me gambling, yeah, I'd still sit down and watch some games or the big games, but now I'm watching App State versus Louisiana Lafayette. Well, why? Because I'm gambling on it. But here's the thing. I barely watch any sports anymore. I used to have ESPN on the background all the time. I'd have game day on. Like, I've watched maybe a handful of football games this year, and I think 4 of them were because they're my favorite NFL team growing up. So if you're watching this and you're telling yourself your gambling is all about the money, that's what we all told ourselves at first. But when you strip it down, it's really just about what the money represents and that lifestyle that you want to live that you're not currently living. It's fake. You're not going to live that lifestyle from gambling. And that's one of the hardest truths to face. Until next time.